Hey friends, Christy here with Little Roots Ranch, and it's chilly. September is definitely, or late September I should say, has definitely been much cooler. In the morning it's been, I think the last 2 days were 41 degrees and this morning was 52 degrees, but the winds are kicking up. And of course it's such a change of events, or change of seasons, I should say, because I can see it's actually really pretty, but the leaves wafting down in the breeze and all that stuff. And it's definitely time or a sign that fall is most definitely here. It's also, yesterday was the first official day of fall, so happy official day of fall to everyone. But I just wanted to check in. I think it's been like a week or so since I've made a video, or a little over a week, I think a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. And just was taking a little break. And, with farming, I think this time is where everybody kind of gets burnt out, and, there's so many things to do starting from early in spring and getting all the starts and selling starts and getting everything in the ground, in the greenhouse, and all the planning that starts in the winter. But there's always things to do, like prepping new beds or turning over beds or any of those things, and you start getting slowly backed up. And then summer gets real close, and so that's when you start transplanting all of the heat-loving things, or seeding, like the pumpkins and winter squashes and tomatoes, peppers, basils, tomatillos, eggplants. Who am I forgetting? Probably somebody, cucumbers. And, there's the switch over, okay, it's going to be warmer, so we're not doing as many Asian greens or spinaches. And so then it's the star crops of the summer, all the ones I just listed. I think the tomato has earned itself as the staple summer crop in any garden and, of course, farm. I know that everybody looks forward to picking that first tomato, which is usually a cherry tomato. But the slicers, when they come in, and that's so exciting, and waiting for them to turn green, and then all of a sudden you just see that red orb in the corner of the yard or whatever, and that's always exciting. Then you go into overwhelm stage, and so for me, it's, I also do a lot of preserving and stuff like that, and so it's not only where I'm finishing up my spring crops and I'm actively working or finishing my summer crops, but then I'm also starting the fall crops and getting ready for overwintering. I absolutely always run out of space because there's always a plan of where everything's going to go. But plans don't always work out exactly how they're supposed to. And then trying to get all that food, because one of my goals, for those who've followed for a while, I think you're aware, but I want to grow the majority of my food year round. And though I have the greenhouse, because I also sell, right? So everything, I know that I could grow enough greens for myself in the greenhouse, but then I wouldn't have anything to sell to my community. And that's, of course, my income. And so that, and of course, YouTube, social media, whatever. But so then it's so, and also to have more diversity. So I preserve food, and that's really hard because preserving food is like a full-time job, and farming is like a full-time job. And so it's hard when the two mix. And of course that comes right. This year we didn't have the heat wave from 2 years ago was 5 days where it was extremely hot. And then, but this year it was just fairly hot, for a long period of time. And so that, when it's really, really hot, I don't know if you guys have air conditioning units or whatever. I do not. And so when it's really hot like that, I don't feel like canning, and I don't feel like working in the fields, and so it's just a lot, and everyone always wants to do, oh, come to this concert, come to this barbecue. And I'm like, come pull weeds, nobody ever takes me up on that. But anyways, and so it's just the busy, busy season. And then my favorite season, everyone knows, is fall, you know, pumpkin everything. And I get so excited and turning over everything like in like the early fall, late summertime area is where I realized the projects that I'd earmarked for getting completed this year most likely are not going to, unless there's some magic button or some genie that appears. And so then it's like, I gotta do all these things that I thought I had so much time for, you know, like I make my list in the winter and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna expand these garden beds and I'm gonna do these herb beds and like all these things that I'm gonna build a compost area and I'm gonna do this. And then now it's like, it's almost October and you know, what do I do? And so it gets to be a lot, you know, it's a lot of work and, you know, long days. The sun doesn't set till like 10:30 or go down, I guess, until like around 10:30 at the longest time. And so I'm up late and I'm up early and just working all day. And I mean, I love it, don't get me wrong, but you know, it starts to get at me or whatever. And so then when I come into the end of September, it's like I'm so close to being done with the season, which is bittersweet because I'm really excited for a break maybe in a couple months. But also like, then it's like, I have to wait all the way till next year. So very bittersweet. And then, yeah, you know, and just trying to like keep up with everything. And so I took a little bit of a break now that it's starting to, I think the sunset, like gets dark around like 8 o'clock. And so I'm really excited about that because it's nice not to go to bed at like 11. And just, you know, focusing on things that I need to do. I had a bunch of horse manure delivered and I need to figure out what I'm going to do with that, or where I'm going to put that, obviously, and thinking about what I'm doing with some of the beds and like how I'm gonna like mitigate like the weeds for next year. I'm thinking about, as I have the one area where my rhubarb is, like there's also fruit trees there. They're just not like doing so great, but it's kind of at the end of the garden, of the pig garden. And so I think I'm going to put down a bunch of straw. And I was thinking about putting the horse manure in there, but I think I'm gonna have it mostly as walkways. And I'm going to tarp that because I've got just so much thistle and the blackberries. I've got all three kinds of the Himalayan blackberry, which is the really aggressive one, the evergreen blackberry, which is just a step down, but still a monster. And then the native trailing blackberry, which actually isn't so bad, but there's just so many of them, you know. And so just planning kind of what I'm going to finish and all that stuff. So, but I wanted to check in and say like, I'm okay. You know, I know it's almost the end of September, which is crazy to say. That means that it's almost my birthday is November 1st. So I'm really excited about that, even though it's a while away. But yeah, I'll have a garden tour. Even the garden looks rough, but I'll have a garden tour probably this Saturday, and a few other things. And then I'll have a couple other videos coming up. I need to transplant my strawberry daughters. I meant to do that a little bit earlier, but it is what it is. So I need to do a video on that and how to overwinter strawberries. That was a video idea request that somebody had put in. So I want to do that. And basically how to store the garden for overwintering and stuff like that. And so I've got a lot of videos coming up and I'm ready to get back at it in the final stretch. And yeah, this is interesting. So a lot of my content comes around gardening. And though there are things to do in the winter, there isn't like a huge list, right? You know, or the average person, I guess you could have a heated greenhouse, but the average person isn't like, you know, working every day, all day in the garden throughout the winter. So if you guys have any video ideas that for like winter time, like specifically like deep winter or like early winter or whatever, late fall, let me know. I do have some like preserving things that I can do. But if there's any like specific videos or anything like that, like let me know in the comments because then I can make those And especially as the garden starts to wrap up, then I have more time to be a functioning human being. But I hope that all of you are doing really well. I hope that, the change of the seasons is going well and that you're excited about fall too. It's okay if you're not, of course. And yeah, thank you for watching. And I will see you next time with the garden tour video. Bye.